All right, we're back broadcasting live at the Toms River Auto Group studio right here in Northfield. Billy Schweim, Nikki Earnshaw. The Beach Boys, Brian Wilson passed away this week, and big Beach Boys fan, Nick.
I know you are, big Beach Boys fan.
I like the Grateful Dead and the Police and the Beach Boys.
You were rattling off songs on the phone earlier today.
Yeah, that's right. All right, I am super excited to have my first guest on today. I have a history with him. Let's go to the Toms River Volkswagen Sports Hotline and welcome into the locker room the new head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. We have him. We have Rick Tocchet in our locker room pocket. Let's welcome in Rick Tocchet. Good morning, Coach.
What's up, Schweiner?
Hey, you got a lot of pressure on you today, Toc, because Andy's listening up in Toronto.
Oh, yeah. He's not up early enough.
No, he called me.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I spoke to him.
Yeah, he's probably listening, but he doesn't want to talk about Flyers. He wants to talk about the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, you know what? Because during football season, he calls me all the time talking about his Bills.
Oh, he loves the Bills. He's been heartbroken for a lot of years. But you got to like Allen, though. I mean, that's one guy that I think everybody cheers for. What a hell of a quarterback.
Absolutely. You know who else is heartbroken? Flyers fans talk, because I remember that 87 Stanley Cup you guys were in? I mean, I know you won one with Pittsburgh as a player. You won two as an assistant coach, but I know that the first one, well, you were in the 85 one, but this 87, man, you guys were all hurt. It was next guy up. You guys were like put together with Band-Aids and stuff. That was, I'll never forget that Stanley Cup as long as I live.
Yeah, listen, we all you love memories, and you learn from your memories, and that team was one of the closest teams I've ever been with. A lot of injuries, guys disbanded together. I remember Dave Poon was getting his before every game, getting his ribs frozen with a needle. I mean, just things like that, just to play. And then obviously the heartbreak in 2000. I know the Flyers went with Chicago. They lost it. I think it was 6 games. So they've been close. So hopefully we can, we can change the narrative around here.
Toc, it's almost surreal. Like, I know you've been a head coach in Vancouver, and I think you were Tampa Bay and Arizona, but
sure.
coming back to Philadelphia has got to be extra special for you.
Well, you got to remember, Billy, I was 18, 19, getting picked up at the airport. Like, had no clue what the city of Philly was about.
Right.
Obviously, I knew the Flyers and, the Bobby Clarks, the Billy Barbers, and Perrants of that generation of the 70s and 80s. Had nothing, didn't know anything about it. And then, obviously, as a young kid, the way that the Flyers, it's a family atmosphere, and it really helped my just as a kid. Like,
right.
I'm only 19, so they really helped me shape who I became. So I owe a lot to the Flyers, especially in my early years as a 20-year-old.
Toc, do you feel any I know you don't, but I got to ask this. Do you feel any extra pressure added onto you that you're coming back to the Philadelphia Flyers, a team that struggled, that hasn't made the playoffs in like 5 or 6 years? Do you feel any extra pressure, or just it's the normal pressure that you'd feel anyway?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, obviously there's pressure. I mean, anything to win, you got to face pressure, wherever
right.
whatever city or whatever team. But obviously coming back, like, honestly, Billy, it's really not about me. I know, it's not about Rick Tocchet. Honestly, it's about the emblem. It's about the Flyer crest.
Right.
Hopefully I can be part of that solution of turning the narrative around. From what I've been told, the locker room is very tight. The guys love each other in that room. And when you have that belief, anything can happen. I mean, listen, we got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
Danny and Keith Jones and Dan Hilford, they haven't shied away from it. Even when I was going through the process of interviewing, there's some work to be done. And you got to get lucky in some things. But
right.
The one thing is they have a plan, and I love the plan. And I think there's no better place to coach, especially if you can have successes in Philadelphia.
We're talking with new Flyers head coach Rick Tocchet. And then you go to Pittsburgh and you play with some great. You win a Stanley Cup as a player. You play with some great people. Matter of fact, I drove your car out to. I'll never forget this. I drove your car out to Pittsburgh, and you had, remember that console phone you had in the middle of there. And I picked it up. There was no cell phones back there. I picked the phone up. I made 2 calls. About a month later, he goes, Schweiner, what did you do? I go, I don't know. What did I do? You go, it cost you like $500.
Yeah, my paycheck back just paid for the phone bill. I don't know who you were talking to. But yeah. It was. I remember that. I don't even think I used that thing. I don't even know how to remember how to use that thing back in the day. But yeah, I remember that, man. That was a nice bill I had to pay for you.
Yeah. So, but playing with greats like Mario Lemieux and Yager, and then you go to LA and you're with Gretzky, and has that helped you with your coaching ability, playing with great guys like that and winning a Stanley Cup as a player?
Yeah, it really has. Even playing, but even like you said, coaching. These guys don't get rattled. You look at the star players, even in today's game. Sometimes you can't tell the temperature of the game. They're not rattled. I remember the Four Nations, just behind the bench and watching Connor McDavid and Crosby and McKinnon when the heat was on. It was a 1-1. We're playing, and we're overtime against the U.S. There was not a lot of panic. And I saw that with the Gretzkys and Lemieux. I've seen these guys score a lot of big goals in their career. And the one thing I've learned from them is they don't get rattled. Because you know why? Schweiner, they're prepared.
Right.
They prepare themselves for these moments. And I think that's the key to athletes is prepare yourself for these key moments.
Hey, Coach, it's Nick. Thanks so much for joining us today. One guy that Flyers fans are so excited about is Matvei Michkov. Have you gotten a chance to talk to him a little bit? And heading into this draft, what is the ideal pairing and skill set to fit a player like Michkov?
Yeah, it's actually I've talked to his agent a few times. We're going to set up a call. He's over in Russia, and get a lot of good feedback from his agent, Paul Diathonis. He's trying to get to know Michkov in the sense that he really wants to be great. I think I've said this a few times. Like he looks at Kucherov as a guy. I'm not saying emulate, but just his idol, the way he plays, the way he prepares. Right. We got to figure a way, especially on the power play. The power play has been a sore spot around here, to get this kid the puck on the power play and let him attack. I think power plays are big of getting, you look at the McDavids and the Draisaitls, you watch their power play, they beat pressure. There's not a lot of plays. They just use their skill and they attack. That's the thing I want to see with Matty. I want to see him attack the net. I think there's another level of a brain that he's ahead of everybody offensively. So we really want to maximize that brain power for us, especially on the power play.
Hey, Tocch, I remember you telling me back in the day that when you started scoring more goals, I said, well, what happened to your game? And you told me that you played with a mean streak and you created more space for yourself out on the ice. It might be a silly question, but is that how the game's still played today? It's obviously intimidation's a part of the game, but is that how you got space, and is that how people get space today?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Billy. My two older brothers toughened me up.
Andy and Danny.
Oh yeah, Andy and Danny. Oh yeah, they toughened me up. Then I go to Philly. Obviously, the instant, it's just the identity. You had to play, and I knew I had to play a certain way to get room, but also learn about body position. Today's game is about body position and hockey IQ. If you can really have those two things where. You look at, and I hate to bring up Sidney Crosby, but, I coached him for about 3 years. I watched him practice, and he used to practice little subtle things, and I think that's the most part. I really want to teach our guys body position, being able to get in situations and know how to handle. You look at Draisaitl, one of the best body position guys in the league. You can learn from these guys. And that's what I tried to do when I played. I wasn't the greatest skater, but from A to B, I could get there fairly quick. And then obviously you try to win your position, whether it's in front or anywhere, in the corner or in the neutral zone, you try to win your position. So I think if you apply yourself, and I shot a lot of pucks. I got to give my dad. My dad was unbelievable. He set up a shooting gallery downstairs, and we had a small house. And I think I broke a lot of windows. And there's a lot of dents in that washing machine. My poor man. I got to give my parents a lot of credit for let me hammer pucks. They let a lot of pucks in that basement.
That's great.
There's nothing better than that. I mean, there's nothing better than breaking a couple windows. A lot of
dents in the wash and dryer.
No, now it paid off. I'd say it paid off, Coach.
Hey guys, I swear I used to play the Rocky music. I did the eggs. I did that for about a summer, doing the eggs, the broken eggs in the glass, like Rocky.
Too funny, man.
I did all that stuff, man. I tried whatever it took. I tried it.
Coach, Tyson Forrester and Noah Cates both got new contract extensions just recently. I'm curious to know what do you think of those two guys and how you're going to potentially use them coming up this season?
Yeah, just from listening to the inside the organization management, they love these guys. And then, I've talked to people outside the organization asking them what they think of those two guys. And they're very well thought of. You know why? Because I think their hockey IQ. I know Forrester was over at the World Championships, and he played with Sidney Crosby. He played with Nate McKinnon on a line, and he scored some goals. So, and then Cates, I think, as a two-way type of guy, centerman, can supply that brain for us. So, really good signings, really good players, and they're going to be part of the future.
Hey, talk about the goalie situation. Philadelphia used to have, Hexy, Pelly, Lindbergh, Bernie, Perron. I mean, goalie was a staple in Philadelphia. Had a little problems lately. So, what are you going to do about the goalie situation? Where are you looking to? How are you looking to improve that area?
Yeah, well, I think it's important. I think we got I don't know the exact names, but we have a couple of prospects that are 19 that are really well thought of. So first of all, you got to develop those type of guys, for that next wave. For the immediate, for our team now, I mean, obviously we got to find a goalie. We got a couple of guys. Obviously, Harrison is a good goalie. He's a good goalie who's just developing, trying to get his legs underneath him. And it's also system too, Billy. I mean, it's important that we are play without the puck. I always say I want my goalie to play half the net. I don't want him playing post to post.
Right.
That means you're letting a lot of seam plays going through. You're getting a lot of backdoor goals. You're getting weak side goals, and those are the goals we got to clean up, and that will help the goalie out. The one thing with goalies, if you can get in a system where they are playing half the net, I mean, it makes a huge difference. It makes a huge difference. So it's on myself and the team to figure a way to keep those dangerous shots outside on the outside, not in the middle of the ice.
Coach, I mean, the draft's coming up just a couple of weeks away on the 27th. You got a ton of draft picks, 3 in the first round, 11 total. Talk to me about utilizing those draft picks this year. You're gonna obviously want to develop those young players you do draft, and hopefully win a Stanley Cup one day. Why would it be different to win a Stanley Cup in Philadelphia?
Ooh, I mean, I've been around the block. Fortunately, I've won 3 cups in Pittsburgh. Unbelievable, seeing the parade. I've seen other parades, when teams have won, Colorado and Tampa. If Philadelphia won a Stanley Cup, I mean, it's got to be one of the top. It might be the top. It could be the top 3 in the league of turnout, the passion of the fans. I don't think there's many cities that can duplicate. You look at the Eagles where they won the last couple of times. I mean, that city was just buzzing. So the Phillies back in the day when they won. So there's a lot of fans out there, and they want to celebrate. So Philly's probably one of the best cities to celebrate a championship.
We're talking with new head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers, Rick Tocchet. We got him in our locker room pocket. Tock, not that I'm going to put you on a spot, but I know you have Philadelphia's a special spot in your heart. So is Pittsburgh too. You go there, you win a cup, and that was a great bunch of guys that you played with there in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah, I played 18 years, and there's pockets of your career like wow, that team, wow, wow, that team, this, wow, and the closest that group, and obviously to win a cup, you always, it's a close group,
right?
But with the stars that we had on that team, Lemieux and Kevin Stevens and Yager and Joey Mullen and Big Artie. Roddy Francis. I mean, you just go, and it's just incredible. Tommy Barrasso, and the one thing, money's great and all that stuff, but. It's the memories. I talked to Jaromir Jagr. Jagr called me about 2 months ago. We touch base once in a while.
Uh-huh.
And every single time you start off the conversation, he calls me Dick. He goes, Dick, remember this, remember that? Remember we went into this city and we did this, or remember we whatever happened. I remember you were on the ice, this happened. So memories are great, and they'll never go away. And that was a special group.
Hey, and I don't think people realize this. You have 18 Gordie Howe hat tricks during your career, which I think is still the most in the NHL history. Is that unbelievable? That's like 3 goals in a row.
Yeah, you know what? That
I didn't realize
yeah,
that.
You don't remember getting them. You just those are you're in the heat of the moment, right?
Yeah.
And some of those fights, and I bet you a lot of those fights were games where they were tight games. Like, you go into Toronto and a great Wendell Clark's killing our guys with hits, and I thought it was my duty to get there and fight him, and he would fight, and then all of a sudden the game goes back to normal, and then you get a goal or something like that. So it just happens organically, which I love. The Cam Neelys of the world, those guys were incredible players. They could score and fight and do it all.
Hey, Tocch, the game has changed a little bit, but you like that rough style, that very aggressive, physical play. Like you said, you get respect and you get more room out there when you play with a mean streak. You want to try to instill that in your players, right?
Yeah, but listen, everybody's different. Defending, you can defend different. I mean, if you're a smaller guy, obviously you're not going to go in there and start crushing guys. So you defend with your brain and your feet and your stick, and you defend by having the puck on your stick. So, and there's other guys where they do, they have to have that mean streak. They got to get in there and cause havoc on a forecheck. So you have an eclectic group of guys. Not everybody can have a mean streak, right? And I've learned that. I'm not coaching here like trying to make somebody they're not. But I do believe to be playing hard against, you got to win puck battles, and you got to be able to. That's body position. I don't care how big you are. And you got things like that. I think it's important, and everybody's got to participate. You just can't be 3 or 4 or 5 guys supply that. Everybody's got to do something to make your team a hard team to play against.
Coach, heading into this draft, kind of bouncing off of that a little bit, what is the type of player you are looking for when you guys are drafting somebody this year? Like, I know character's big for you guys. What are some other attributes that you're looking for when you're drafting players this season?
Yeah, I think the they have a system, the way teams do things. But this league, you find a dynamic player. I mean, if you can find those guys that it's a 2-2 game, 10 minutes left, that can make that play under pressure. You see Dreisaitl's got 4 overtime. He's got 4 overtime or 5 overtime goals this year, and the other goal is an assist. So, these guys are hard to find. So if they're dynamic guys there, you got to take a shot at the guy that can just make those plays. But then also for me, if you look at all the great teams, I don't care what any sport, you got to draft character and IQ. If you can have a high sport hockey, whether it's football or whatever the game is in hockey, I love hockey IQ, high hockey IQ and character. Sometimes that can overcome, some like say you're an average skill guy. If you have those other 2 things, you can pay the mortgage in the NHL. So, you want to sprinkle a lot. You want to sprinkle a lot of that in your team. You can't just want to have abundance of one and the other or the other. So I think that's something that I think Danny and the scouting staff are going to look for.
Hey, Tocch, one more question, and this might be for a casual fan. Like, how do you determine who plays on what line? Like, what's the philosophy that you use, like, in putting 3 guys together?
That's a great question, Schweiner. The great Scotty Bowman. What I loved about him, and I try to take a little bit from each coach I played for, like his bench. Gamemanship was outstanding. He used to put pairs together. So, he'd put 2 guys that he thought that complement each other, and then the third guy on the line sometimes would play there for a couple of weeks, or he'd throw somebody else in there. It's almost like a freshness you put on line. I don't mind doing that. I don't think you always have to have 3 guys always together the whole time. You might, don't get me wrong, but I think and I was taking you look at the 2 best players ever to play, Mario and Wayne. 2 best players ever. They hated playing with East-West guys. I shouldn't say hated. They had a tough time, had 2 wingers that played East-West. They wanted that, at least one of the guys to be North-South. You could have that skill guy that plays East-West, but they always wanted one guy that just drove play, that just went down the pipe. Was always driving the net or give and go or winning battles in the corner. So I try to find those guys at least to be on it, if you're a skill line, to have one of those guys on that line. I've always felt they're the most successful lines if you can try to find it. So it's sometimes you got to be careful. As we juggle the lines too much. Sometimes us coaches we get a little impatient.
Right.
So you got to sometimes we got to take a step back and say, hey man, you got to leave the lines. But I think nowadays players can play with a lot of different lines and complement those lines.
Well, Tocch, listen, man, I am super excited that you're back in Philadelphia. I think that the Flyers organization's heading in the right direction. And, boy, would I love to see you win a Stanley Cup as a head coach of the Philadelphia Flyers. Rick, I want to thank you so much and look forward to seeing you soon.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the support, and we'll talk down the road.
All right, there he
Thanks,
is.
Coach.
Rick Tocchet, the new Flyers head coach. I'm pumped, man. Could you imagine, did you see the Stanley Cup, the game the other night was unbelievable. I won that in Philadelphia, man.
Yeah, man. We're on the way, hopefully on the way. Got a lot of draft picks.
We got Rick Tocchet in our NHL pocket. The first hour of the locker room is powered by Surety Title. Surety provides comprehensive title insurance protection and professional settlement services for home buyers and sellers, real estate agents, brokers, lenders, home builders, developers, and attorneys to facilitate your real estate purchases. From the shortest center city and every place in between, Surety Title is there for you with over 20 office locations in New Jersey and PA. That's Surety Title. For more information, call my good friend Ron Conklin at 856-988-8900 or give Chris Mooney a call in the Ocean City office at 609-399-1227. Just about everybody in our area has heard about the Jersey Man and Philly Man magazine that is run by ex-Philadelphia tight end Ken Dunnick. But were you aware of their private business network they call the Legacy Club? Every month, they'll have private events at upscale locations in Philadelphia and South Jersey that attract over 200 top business people. If you have an interest in attending one of these events and see it's a fit for your business, send an email to ken@jerseymanmagazine.com or give him a call at 856-912-4007 for more information. When we return, we'll wrap up hour number one. You're listening to The Locker with Billy Schweim right here on 97.3 ESPN.